Hello, everybody. This is Agro. I'm the CEO and founder of Splinterlands, and it is an absolute pleasure to bring you the town hall today. We're going to have a bunch of things happening today. We have ourselves a team stand up that we can kind of walk through just to go see who's doing what and who's talking about what. So we got ourselves a Nate, a Chatter, and a Weird Beard. Nate, can you tell us what you're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we'll touch a little bit on land, a little bit on the upcoming cards being released, a little bit on everything else creative.
Sweet. What about you, Chatter? What's going on in the land of marketing?
Yeah, it'll be a lot of few things to update here. It's just going to be everything marketing for Splinterlands from my side.
And Weird Beard, just curious, what are you talking about today?
More brawl stuff, as well as a few announcements for a new Splinterlands Open tournament.
Interesting. Awesome. Okay, so there you have it. There's some of the general stuff going on. And then ultimately what we're going to do next, we have some special guests today. These are the guys from Splex. I don't know if you know them or not. Gene Pool is just a pretty standard presence in the Mav chat, so most people should have some idea of who Gene Pool is. Yixon's going to be joining us too, another developer with the Splex.gg. So why don't we head over, talk to Splex for a little bit, and just see what's going on, guys. What are you working on?
Yeah, thank you for having us. Daniel Yixon started Splex back in April of this year, and I joined him with just in that first week and helping him get the service promoted. And 6 months later, we've got about 1,800 rental accounts, and Splex is managing 35 to 40% of the cards on the market for 40 to 45% of the total rental revenue on any given day. And so we're excited by how fast we've grown and the opportunity that Splinterlands has given us to build on top of your ecosystem. And funny enough, just the other day, we looked up how many Hive transactions are being done on any given day and realized that Splex is now generating about 5% of all transactions on Hive on a daily basis.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we've grown pretty quickly around your ecosystem, and probably the thing we're most excited about is we've got about 2,700 active members on Discord. Lots of upbeat investing conversations around how we leverage Splex and Splinterlands assets to help everybody generate yield. So it's been a really fun project and an extra fun way for me to interact with the Splinterlands ecosystem.
So just hit me from a high level. What is it exactly that Splex does? If I'm a new player and I don't know anything about it, why would I want your services? What are your services, and how do they benefit me as a player?
Yeah, thank you. So Splex started with the Rent Golem or Splinterlands Rentals. Splex is Splinterlands Exchange. And that's probably the thing that we're best known for. We allow people to log into our service with kind of a management account. And then they can have as many associated accounts with that, so that we provide a screen like you're seeing here where I've got, all of my accounts logged in so that I can see whether I'm renting those cards or whether I'm playing in the game. I can quickly see the total value of all of my assets and, where all that comes from. I see all of my rewards information and can quickly look all that up. And then I had the opportunity to go to Splinterfest. Daniel is based in Germany, and it was a little bit too far of a trip for him. So he did a mad coding for 4 days straight and created a collection page that gives us the ability to manage all of our assets at a more granular level. And we've linked all of the data from all of those sources together into a market tool that leverages our rental data to give people some insight into which cards are going to generate the most yield for them. So we know you've got a bunch of rental cards. I pulled up the market here, sorted by best YROA, and I can kind of quickly scroll through and see which cards are generating the most asset or most returns, and what levels. So like if I click on this stats page here, this will tell me that the Arachne Thug, that Rift Watcher card, is generating the best returns at level 3. So, like the recent changes Splinterlands has made to have people combine up cards now have it where they are generally renting better at higher levels. And I can see that's over like a 14-day time period. But if I wanted to see whether it was renting better more recently, it's 255% over the last 3 days. And you can kind of see the market has appreciated that, hey, that card's got some value. And so it's increasing in cost based on the rental returns that we're able to get for that. So you can see as cards become meta, how those values change.
So if you were a player, would you run around and buy specific cards and try to just max those out to specific levels? Would you be buying card packs? Like what advice would you give to somebody comes in, they got $1,000 and they're trying to figure out what is it that they want to do, or maybe it's even just $5 or $10. Like how should a player think through maximizing their ability to earn in this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that's a real important question, especially the part about the difference between, hey, maybe I've only got 30 or $40 versus maybe I've got $1,000. So like in this Arachne Thug example, if I wanted to rent those cards, I say, okay, I'm going to buy up to level 14 or 14 BCX because I know I want to rent level 3. And let's say I only want 10 of them. Well, that's going to give me an average price of 24 cents per BCX. Didn't move the market very much. But if I say I want 100 of those cards, well, there's not 100 on the market. So now my cost basis is going to go way up based on what I want to do. So I think in general, you can pick and choose cards both to build out your deck to play with, and that makes really good sense. But if you start, or you can pick and choose cards to rent, that's fine too. But when you start to get into larger dollar numbers, you really need the liquidity available in packs to be able to go buy, lots of cards. And I'm just going to buy these cards while we're here, so I can combine them up to rent.
Nice. And then, so how does a player like build their collection? Do they need to do anything other than create a card and give you a permission, or like how much time does somebody need to do on a daily basis to like manage their Splex inventory?
Yeah, so part of the advantage of Splex is that you can manage all your accounts from one place, and we automate a lot of those services. So like I used to spend hours a day going in doing clicks on changing my pricing for rentals to try and optimize my returns. And now I can log in, give us posting authority to manage your account, and everything's automated. So like I literally only log in to play my tournaments and brawls and just play the game. And I allow Splex to do all of the other features that might be considered to be kind of grunt work. So we recently added in the ability to restake things like GLS and SPS. And really Splex's kind of mandate is to create quality of life tools to make it so that people don't have to do the math or, spend time doing things they might otherwise not want to do. I spend my time browsing the market and figuring out which assets I want to utilize. And so Splex's goal is to create kind of that quality of life to allow people to just focus on the fun parts of the game and let us manage your assets for the best return.
On an unrelated note, I tried to figure out what all of my accounts were worth and like everything that I had in liquidity pools on Hive and in the game. I finally did it. It took me 18 hours of like nearly straight work, just like pulling stuff up out of out of different accounts and in different places for those different accounts. It was a monster. And then I not only had to go do that for fungibles, but non-fungibles. Like this can be, you know, if you have a lot of assets here, it can be daunting. And especially because like there's some efficiency or like benefit by separating the assets you have onto different accounts so you can track how is this account doing and these cards, you know, that ends up making it's like nice for some levels of efficiency, but it can make it pretty hard when you're like, where did I put that asset? How many cards do I have over there? Like who's holding those liquidity pools? So I don't know if you guys ever start tracking down, you know, what are you holding on Hive? What are you holding on Hive Engine? What's in liquidity pools? You know, make sure that all the staking is happening all the time. Like that, all of that sounds pretty nice. And that definitely sounds like that kind of like life convenience that you know, really comes with digital assets. I mean, I don't know where else you find this stuff, right? Like where, you know, there's like house rental services, but you know, that really takes like a lot of upkeep. You know, you can't just be like rent my house and I'm done. Like maybe if you find like some really good property manager, you can, but you know, automatically adjusting prices and all of that, like I don't think there's tools for this for like the physical world, the like meat suit world. It's really only in like these Web3 areas that you can get things that just completely simplify your life.
Yeah. And so we have really appreciated the opportunity to build on top of your ecosystem. I shared this feedback with John, but we've recently heard from some of our customers, mutual customers, that they would have considered or probably would have left Splinterlands in this bear market if they still had to do so much manual. And now they're able to automate it all. So they just focus on the fun parts and it makes it easier for them to, you know, to help weather the bear as we go through that. And that's really been Yixin and I's goal, is to help make it easier for players and for investors. We've focused on the investor side so far, but we have some tools coming that are going to be focused on players with really things that are complementary to what Nifty's doing. So the other side of the rental market, where we take what we've done with our collection page, create market templates to allow people to have like a curated deck of these are the cards I want to rent to be able to go play. And then we automate keeping those cards rented for them at the best possible rates to allow them to play the game and keep all their rewards. So kind of a different flavor of the same thing Nifty's doing, where you rent a whole deck and you share the rewards. This would require some upfront cost to rent cards off the market, but then you get to keep all your rewards as you come through that.
Yeah, one of the parts that I like about this game is that there's so many different ways to approach earning, and that, you know, a lot of it feels pretty entrepreneurial. Of like, I'm going to build this deck and provide it, or I'm going to ask for these cards and rent them. I like it more than the traditional scholar model, where the scholar model seems rife for like you know, exploiting the person that's just there for labor. But if you're your own boss in this entrepreneurial method, you know, it feels like a lot less opportunity to get exploited.
And the last thing, if we've still got a minute, I wanted to share is that Yixin and I, again, we're really grateful for the opportunity. We built up a lot of trust in the community. We're up to over 1,500 unique visits a day to our page, and that's given us the opportunity to work with other projects. Rarely Here and Rare Raptor that were on last town hall have partnered with Splex, and we're helping build a market for them. So like their Alpha Crate pre-sale started today. You can go to Splex and buy those, and I'll put a link when I'm not on camera anymore into town hall with our Discord link and the link to Splinter Forge. But the visibility we've got has now allowed us to be a hub or kind of a launch pad for some of the other third-party dApps in the space. And that's one of the things that Splex sees. Again, we all rise together. And we want to help players be successful and investors be successful, and just making it easier for money to come into the ecosystem and stay in the ecosystem is really kind of what we see as our mission.
Yeah, one of my dreams here is that we help other businesses get started within this larger business. and it seems like you guys are really fulfilling that mission. I see you guys, and I see Peak Monsters, and there's a couple other markets and a couple other services. It's really nice to see actual businesses forming that are generating revenue, and even in a bear market continue to generate revenue. Because if you can make it now, whenever this bear market ends and we get back into a bull market and prices are going up and players are showing up in droves and all the other things, if you can make it now, you're going to make it then too. And the question is going to be like, can you keep yourself sane while that whole sort of euphoria hits?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the time. We really appreciate, again, that opportunity to build here, and the team has been really great to work with and in sharing resources and information. And we've tried to be good stewards. Patrick gave us some time last week to talk through ways that we could optimize our use of the APIs to really help leverage the server resources and everything else. So it's just, y'all have been a great team to work with, and I appreciate that.
Cool. Yixon, anything you want to add?
Us to be here, and I'm sorry that I'm late.
No, all good. Glad to have you here. Okay, well, thank you, Splex. If you guys have cards and you want to rent them, or if you're apparently going to start looking for decks to rent, Splex is one of the major locations that you guys should head. And appreciate you guys being part of the ecosystem. Thanks for being here, and also like he shared, he's Splinterlands is offering an end of year deal, and we allow people to pool resources to go get in on that deal. So, the Splex group has one, Crypto Eater has one. I think Neil McSpadden might have one, but especially if you're a customer of Splex and you guys are thinking about how to get one of these packages and, be able to afford it at a level that you're comfortable with, reach out to Gene Pools and join them in their Discord.
Yeah, appreciate the reminder on that. We're up to your champion tier, and thank you for getting that added in so we can help give people some really nice bonuses on Chaos Legion packs. And then if you're not sure what to do with them, you can get pretty good rental rates by feeding them into the gauntlet.
What I couldn't see on the resolution of my screen because I don't get to see like this in normal playback mode. What was the highest ROI that you're seeing these days for some of these cards?
Those Arachne Thugs that I just bought, the Rift Watcher cards, are 250% over the last 3 days. You're still seeing a lot of the neutrals in Chaos Legion over 100%. So yeah, still some pretty good rental opportunities out there, even in the depths of the bear.
That's amazing. Totally fantastic. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you being here. We're going to go do some words with wizards now. We got ourselves Investigator. Thank you, Splex. And Investigator, are you there? How are things?
Yep, I'm here. Good. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while since I've been on Town Hall.
Yeah. So I think a good chunk of today is really talking about like what are some of the release notes that are coming, what's on the docket. And then, we've talked a little bit about at least internally and maybe a little bit externally about some changes that are happening within like how we actually do our development. So those would be the kind of two questions that I have. First is what's rolling out, and then how are you experiencing things as we kind of roll out a new system to develop stuff.
Okay, I apologize if the mic is picking up my dog because package game is going crazy in the background. I guess first off, short list for tomorrow. So we'll cover the updates coming up first. So the main thing we're doing tomorrow is we're going to be updating our internal database to a new version of the software, which should give us increased performance, hopefully speed up everything that people interact with the site. It is going to take a while, so that's probably going to be a lot of downtime for tomorrow. It'll be a little longer than usual. But probably what most people care about is what's going on with the game. So the kind of stealing a little bit of Nate's thing, there's going to be some ear candy updates. So we've got a whole bunch of new music coming out. Most of the pages are now going to have musical tracks associated with them. There's going to be new battle music going out that's different for both modern and wild formats. And during team creation, pretty much all the things on the screen are going to have sound effects as you click through and build your team.
Oh, that's awesome. Maybe Nate will be able to go demonstrate some of those, or if he doesn't have soundtracks handy, maybe he could just emulate them himself, as if he was like, you guys remember Police Academy, the guy that can make like a billion different noises? I'm interested to see if Nate will play the role. Mike, what's his last name? Mike Winslow, I believe, is the gentleman that can do that. So we'll see if Nate is the Mike Winslow of Splinterlands. Okay, so we have some ear candy. We have some sound effects going into the game. We have some changes to the way that our database is going to perform. Is there anything else going out in the release tomorrow?
Probably another important thing for players is we are fixing a long-standing issue with Dispel. There's been a bug where a dispelled creature loses stats when the buffing creature dies. So that's been in the game pretty much since Dispel was added. We finally went through and fixed that. And then there's small cleanups. There's some improvements to the non-card market erring if you're trying to submit things outside of our site. We fixed some rounding issues on display and fixed some input fields where it would let you put however many decimal points you wanted when we only really want 3. And those are the main things that are going out tomorrow.
So thank you for that. Separate from that, there's been some changes that are happening, as we roll out some teams and we start putting in additional agile practice. Like what's made it down the line to you? Are you seeing any of that yet? Is it coming? Is it already started? Is it impacting your life and the way that you develop? Does this look more like it's a 2023 thing? Like how is this hitting you?
Yeah, we are reorganizing back into teams after having split into projects previously. So right now we're organizing as basically 3 teams. There's going to be an enhancement team, which is going to be primarily focused on Splinterlands, game updates, pretty much most of the stuff that people listening to this probably immediately care about. There's also going to be a platform team, which is going to be heavily working on the GLX, GLG, all of that upcoming stuff. And there's going to be a operations team, which is going to be handling things like infrastructure and I think quality assurance, things like that.
So we're going to bring into some teams. Are you guys doing daily stand-ups yet? Is this impacting your the time and way that we're operating? Is that starting next week, or where are we for how it's actually implemented, and has it started impacting your day-to-day life yet?
Yeah, the enhancement team and the platform team have both started pretty recently with the enhancement team. I think they just got started running as a new team last week. Personally, I'm going to be doing some product ownership on the operations team, I believe. So I'm going to be switching over to focusing a little bit more on that group than quality of life, which is kind of what I've been doing for the last year, working on enhancements or fixes for the game. But hopefully I'll still get some time to do that as well.
Sweet. And then have you worked in a the approach that we're taking, the sort of agile and scrum but not just agile and scrum, but the kind of way that we're doing it? Have you worked in an ecosystem like that before? Have you seen this? Have you kind of used these tools and used these approaches in the past?
Yeah, having come from several other jobs before this, a little familiar with the Scrum and Agile and the processes that we're trying to implement here, kind of industry standard practices that are supposed to, be good tools for developing and planning. And I think a lot of the developers here, this is, not their first rodeo, so they've got some experience with doing Scrum processes and Agile development.
Yeah, one of the things that we haven't, I don't think that we've mastered yet, and that I'm really hoping that this kind of upgraded process solves, is really around planning. right? And so having the product owner and having the scrum masters and having like time built into the schedule to make sure that we are looking each other in the face, planning out the things that we're going to build, and not just, having meetings for the things that we don't understand yet, but like we've already planned these things out and people can just start shipping things. I think it's going to help us a lot. So I know that going into December, we have a smaller team than we did before, but I'm also hopeful that even with a smaller team, we may actually be more productive, just because the process gains that I think are on the table are so big that it can even overcome the fact that we have fewer people. That, it's not like people weren't working before. They were definitely working before. It's a team filled with lots of people that work very hard. But we ended up having to redo a bunch of work or change things again because our planning wasn't always up to snuff. And here's hoping that if we take a little bit more effort on the planning side and we build a culture of planning, and that it's not only acceptable, but this is how we as a group thrive. I'm hoping that we'll see a fair amount of increased efficiency as a result of that. Does that seem possible to you, or does that seem like that's too high hopes for this?
No, it certainly seems possible. I'm also hoping that with the way that the teams are organized, there's going to be a little better communication between departments too, with people plugged in from creatives on the same team with the devs, so that people are working more directly and less siloed work, so we can kind of plan together a little bit better and hopefully get stuff out when we promise it, which I know we always feel bad when we have to push stuff, because I'm sure all the user community does too, since we all play this game.
Yeah, I think the thing that people are looking forward to the most is land. In fact, if I had to guess, what is the one statement repeated the most in Mav chat over the past year? It's when land. And I think we have some pieces that we're expecting to come out next week. Does that still jibe? Do you feel like, from what that we're likely to get some parts of land out, as soon as next week?
Yeah, the 13th is looking to be a pretty big update. There's a chance it may be the last one for the year, because we're trying not to do too much around the holidays, because a lot of people be off and we don't want to put out changes and not have people around in case anything goes wrong. But land's looking pretty good. I know that Farpatrad was working over the weekend, checking stuff in Saturday and Sunday, trying to make sure land goes out on time. So definitely working hard, trying to get that ready to go out next week.
Sweet. All right. Well, Investigator, I appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we head over, I think, to Brawlhalla with Weirdbeard?
I just want to say thanks for having me, and I hope that we can do what we've been saying and improve our processes and get a whole bunch of stuff out 2023.
Yeah, you and me both, bud. I think we're set up to do it. Back in February or March, we all a lot of VPs and a lot of the C-suite went down to Florida. We met in person and we started trying to figure out how do we make stuff. And if you've seen, we've had more delivery for Splinterlands since March than we have probably in the last like 3.5 years. Just amazing the amount of content that we've put out. And I think the change to this will even dwarf that. The amount of things that I think we'll be able to get done will skyrocket. And there's just a lot of process efficiency that there's still left to gain. And even though we lost a fair number of our staff and a lot of really good and talented people, I still feel like we're in a position to do pretty well here. So thank you, Investigator. Thanks for being here. I share your hopes, and let's see how this goes. In the meantime, let's go talk to Weirdbeard and figure out what's going on in the land of brawls. Good sir, I hear that sometimes you're interested in the land of tournaments and brawls and might have something to say about them.
Every once in a while. I think, you got to wake up in the mood for them. It's not an everyday thing. It's a some days thing.
I mean, for brawls, that's handy because they're only every 4 days or so.
Exactly. I'm pretty excited about it too. No, but for real, we've been I mean, I guess this is more piggybacking off of kind of what everybody just was hearing about like internal restructuring, the way that we're really trying to look at addressing some of these quality of life things, and really get our arms around some of these smaller projects that seems to have eluded us for a while. I know, like, we've spent a lot of time on filtering this past week for for tournament filters, which is like something that's just low hanging fruit, an easier way to get things on there that people get annoyed with on the daily basis. But we also recently just put up more tournaments, but we announced a new ghost card tournament, a Splinterlands Open tournament that is coming up. Let me get the exact time.
Here, and tell me again what a
Yes.
ghost card tournament is. Like, what is this thing? Why should people be excited about it?
The best thing is that it's all the cards max leveled for where we put it. And that's the best way to get people to go and interact with new cards that they may not have been able to see before, things that they, haven't been exposed to. Especially because this week we are running a Splinterlands Open Bronze Wild tournament. So we're making it so that the big boys all have to come down to the bronze level and actually get in the dirt here and take care of take out some of the players that love to hang out there already.
Yeah.
So
All the time, people are like, it's a huge advantage to be in champion and then play in bronze. No, you get smoked by people that are in bronze. It's like it reminds me of the old line of like, never argue with an idiot. They'll bring you down to their level and then beat you with experience.
exactly.
Like, never battle with somebody in bronze. They're gonna if you nerf your cards down to bronze, they are gonna like know all the rules, know all the best combinations, and smoke you. And you're gonna be like, I got my big champion deck, and then it's gonna lose to some noob that has like 6 cards. But because this is an open tournament, it's not card collection power that matters, but skill that matters. And the people that play in bronze are like incredibly skillful people.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we're really trying to work on getting more of these out here so that people are able to play at different levels and experience. Because so far we've done a gold tournament one. This is our bronze one. That means still up. We have another diamond and even a champion level one. I still want to be able to do a public one like we did for Splinterfest, where it was champ level, wild, everything gold foil. Even though you don't get to keep them, just playing with, like a deck that's worth, I think it was like $7.4 million with all maxed out gold foil cards of everything.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty exciting. So, we're excited to be able to get some of those out. But a lot of the time right now is being spent on looking to 2023, right? Like, where we have these, grand ideas, a lot of the things that we've been, or personally, what I've been interacting with community members and content creators about, and trying to get feelings about some of the things that people have. And, it's like looking to the future of, although we had those layoffs, in November, we still have a lot of things to accomplish. So it's, not taking our eye off the ball and making sure that we're still getting stuff out there and, improving the things that need to be done.
I mean, you work inside this company. You're probably interacting with more like people that are actually building things than I am.
Yeah.
What's your take? Are you like, hey, we're doomed and we're never going to get this shit out? Or are you
No,
like,
no, no.
oh, we got people, we got teams, we got plans, and things are starting to take shape?
I mean, to take you behind the curtain, working at the company in the past, from when I first got here in a couple of months, a lot of the teams sort of lived on their own island, right? Like, it was hard to get that cross communication because everybody had so many projects of their own doing. You know what I mean? Like, I have my list of stuff that I have to talk about. That's all I can focus on. I can't talk to anything else. What we're really looking at doing now is making it so that all the departments are talking to each other at all times, which is a lot easier to just kind of say, you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, why did you do that all the time? And it's like, okay, genius. It's not that easy. But like we're trying to hopefully get it so that when we go through and we can get more smaller projects done without only talking about the big things, like that's, I think the lesson that was taken from Land and the development of it was such an encompassing project that it felt like it occupied everything. You know what I mean? Like I can't talk about any of the smaller stuff. I have a giant project to be able to get through and deliver. But looking forward here, this is going to allow us to be able to not only do big projects, but leave some of that room and ability to get the smaller stuff that has to be done, like the upkeep of the house stuff, as I always like to say.
Rock on. All right, so we have some Splinterlands open stuff. That sounds like a tournament feature.
Yes.
Are there things happening for brawls as well, or are there other tournament things that we should be talking about?
Well, we just, I mean, we really just put in the new changes to the brawl fray compositions for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You know, we're seeing how that goes. We finally have, you know, I think it was last week or the week before when we had our first tier 4 brawl happen. And so we're starting to see where SPS rewards are pushing people around. Like, I knew that it was going to start happening. It wasn't going to be the first week that it kind of popped out. But it's like now that SPS rewards are in the pool, seeing where some of these guilds are going is really cool. You know, we also have
and hopefully the answer is up. Are
Yes.
they going up?
Yeah, I mean,
Are we
and that's
seeing that finally?
it's again, we still are seeing a little bit of this hump where it's like, because we have to be able to incentivize people to not just sit on the top of tier 3, right? Like, until there's a large pool of tier 4 people, it's like a party, you know. If the dance floor is empty, you don't want to be the first person out there dancing by yourself, right? Like, you want to, if there's already a crowd, it's not a problem to go out there and get in the mix. So we're sort of just waiting right now to have a few more people jump into tier 4 before I believe that, like, a lot of people are going to be jumping up that have been, you know, stashing those resources. And we have seen, like, not even talking about just the top, we've seen an influx of people going from tier 1 to tier 2, which is the biggest thing since it's the largest tier right now. You know what I mean? Like, we want to get them thinner as much as possible.
I mean, I like this too, because we have all, I don't know if you guys know this, but all these brawls, it takes having the higher town hall, and all those town halls take dark energy crystals that have to get burned, smashed, and whatever. So I like this because it means that a lot of DEC is getting burned, and that's like music to my ears.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, like, we've been also talking internally, like, for ways that we can really do more, you know, DEC syncs or, you know, vouchers for tournaments and things like that. Like, we are now kind of, the floodgates are open internally in the company a little bit more to be able to make these small things, because I don't have to feel like I'm taking a dev off of working on land. You know what I mean? As it is right now, when a small thing would happen, we'd be like, oh, hey, you know, I got to bug somebody and take up a couple days of their work. It's hard to peel them away when they have only those large projects. But now doing these things in smaller incremental steps makes it so that I can be like, hey, I know you might have like a couple hours to help me out and increase the time selection on brawls from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Can you do that for me? It doesn't feel as like, you know, holding out a bowl and begging for porridge.
Please, sir,
Please,
can I have some more?
just give me some dev time, please.
More dev time. Get him.
You know, like, it's, I mean, honestly, like, I think I just saw a comment from Chatter there in the Discord. Like, I think in the past 2 weeks, I've submitted close to 50 Jira tickets, which is like our internal dev asks and everything like that. And it just is a lot. And not all of them are going to happen right away. But now it's like understanding that there's the ability to get some of that stuff done. So now it's there. Now they can just pick it up when they have the time.
Do you think they'll ever have the time?
I'm gonna make them have the time. This is not a this isn't a question. This is a suggestion before I get angry.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, all 5'6" of me. I'll be coming to tap on your ankles. Get out of here.
It was rather surprising to see how short you are.
Yeah,
I was
dude.
not anticipating that.
Yeah.
Just like seeing Chatter, I was not expecting like a 8-foot tall man. But
Dude,
that's what we
Chatter's
got.
so big. I hug because I'm a hugger. I hugged him and my head was on his chest. Like he was cradling me when I went to do it. Because it was just a mismatch. We could never work,
No,
unfortunately.
that's a really good manager relationship where like he can really coddle you to his bosom so that you are infinitely taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, again, that's why I like working with Chatter, because we're able to tag team a lot of these things. Like, I'm not able to get through a list of a gajillion things without him, you know, helping me and supporting me. And he has to tank for me. He's the bigger guy. So, like, he can tank while I just type away and submit all the tickets that I need.
Nice. So what's the response when you're doing this? Is it like, why are you creating so many tickets? Is it, hey, we have to refine all this? Is it, all right, let's just crank it out? Like, what is it going into a black box, or do you feel like these things are going somewhere?
They're definitely going somewhere. I think that we had a habit of prior to restructuring, we had a black box, which is not good because stuff would just get tossed in there. But I mean, we have a lot of things that have recently been kind of moved into being worked on and fixed. Like I said, a lot of them are like the filtering issues or different filters that happen with tournaments. That's looking at being done and being a release candidate. We're making sure that we get a better ability to be able to create beginner tournaments and what those mean. That's been a problem that we've had for quite a while. Making sure that we get an official display for our official tournaments, so it's easier for people to not only be notified about them, but find when the tournaments are made and put up. And it's just like it's a lot of the house cleaning stuff that is needed to be done. And you always talk about dry powder when it comes to sales. I talk about dry powder when it's like time to get stuff done, right? Like I've made sure that I haven't been on people's bugging radar. If we've had to get something done, we would get it done. But a lot of this small stuff was just it would have gone into the black box and be seen as me annoying people, and I don't think that's what it is now.
That's one of the guys that's on the product team is Living Soil, and he really talks about, get rid of your product. I'm sorry, your project side. Project makes you think like you have to get all of it done all the time, and if you can get more into a product mindset where like, oh, I need to tweak this little thing here and make this better. It doesn't need to be like everything that we've ever desired needs to be in that brain, and we have to get it cranked out that week. Just gives people a little bit more flexibility. And so far all the suggestions that he's put out, I think have done good things, and I'm excited to see what it looks like when we really have this battleship fully operational, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and again, like I just want to mention to people again, we've got these tournaments. We've got the Ghost Card tournament that's coming up on Friday, plus all of our other ones that have gone up. But really, I'm excited to. I've kicked around a lot of ideas. We've been talking internally. I just want to get stuff done, man. Like we're here to deliver. That's one of the biggest things. After the layoffs that everybody had, I feel like the community sentiment all of a sudden pivoted to like, oh my God, the game's going bankrupt and we're all going to be, out. And it's like, no, that's not it. The time clock that's running for us is not money. It's like, we need to develop and deliver what players are looking for. And I think if we do that, like we're in a totally fine boat. And I think this new system helps actually make that happen.
I feel like you just like angelically channeled Matt and was like, I'm going to speak with his voice. Yeah. That definitely sounds like Matt. I can't disagree with that. Shipping out the products that we said we're going to work on and making sure that they go live. And, I think land will be a good example of, I know it's take us a while to get there, but, we're shipping. Like the biggest problem in all this crap is that you keep finding out that there's prerequisites that you need. Like, oh, we need tech modernization. If we're going to do this many new transactions, we need to be able to handle that many. So let's go do tech modernization. Great. Well, now we have that, but just so you know, we need this entirely different way to market things, like build a market, and that we need these non-card market stuff. That was infuriating. Okay, well now we're finally here. What can we ship? And we only have one more week, but it does sound like we're going to get a bunch out. And hopefully Nate will tell us kind of what's going to be in that in the not too distant future here. Okay, so we talked a little bit about guilds. We talked a little bit about brawls. Is there anything else that you want to put out there?
No, I'm just very excited. Like I said, like hopefully we're going to be able to do some community surveys here coming up in the next week or two. Just because it's all community based, right? Like everything I do is around that, and we have some changes that we're zeroing in on for the tournament scene specifically. That aren't going to take dev time. It's just going to be how we organize and run stuff. So as soon as those are out, either next week or the week after, please vote for the talk to me in them, I guess is the phrasing I would use for it. But so go enter into the Ghost Card tournament. That's what I have to say.
Sweet. Okay. So All right. Well, Weird, thanks for checking in with us. Thanks for talking about everybody. And I know we've spoken about it before. I am still interested in you kind of hosting a, like a players forum. This time is still really us talking to players.
Yeah.
And in the Q&A is really them asking us questions. What both of those kind of involve Splinterlands, but I think there needs to be a third time where like players get together and they just talk about the things that they care about, and kind of like really where they're able to go ask whatever questions to each other and figure out what exactly is it that they want. And whereas I don't really, I think you're the right person to help kind of facilitate that conversation. So
Yeah. I mean, we
I hope that's
definitely,
still in your brain.
it is. I think the main thing is wanting to make it so that it's not a salt fest, in the sense of like, I don't want to just bring people up and have them complain. I want to be able to say like, hey, here's a series of plans and things that we want to do. You know what I mean? Like, am I on base, or how far off are we? And then, have them tell us, no, we want to do this because of this instead. Or like, I think that, like just having a place to have people come out and talk and discuss, like you said, have them drive the conversation, as opposed to like us setting the parameters of it, is what's, super important to be able to do.
You're making me think we should just go out and freaking call this thing the salt mines. Join us in the salt mines, and we can talk about what the game should look like.
We'll make it as salty as possible, baby. Salt is flavor.
Yeah, I mean, some amount of salt is okay. It's just some good feedback that we need to keep in our minds and into account. As long as that salt is professionally delivered.
Totally.
If somebody throws a can at you while driving, that's rude. But if the salt is like nicely prepared in the store, and I can just buy my salt, or somebody can hand it to me and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I interest you in this salt?" It's not that bad, and I wouldn't feel assaulted.
Feel bad about that one.
Yeah.
I'm like, if my daughter was here, she'd be like, "That's a dad joke.
Yeah.
We don't like those."
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome, everybody. Okay. Well, Weird, thanks for being here. Let's get some more time. Let's go talk to Chatter, because I know that Chatter is interested in kind of like getting the word out about what we're doing here in the Splinterlands and all the things. And how are things? What are you up to? And where are you at as like a whole marketing organization?
Yeah, I mean, with the reorg and everything going on, last kind of week and a bit have been really just trying to resettle everything, get all the teams shifted and aligned. But similar to what everyone's really been talking about, especially kind of what Investigator was going on there, we've moved towards an agile Scrum framework that's working super well for the team. Marketing is involved with all those conversations every single day as well. So our kind of finger is on the everything that's going on right now, which is great.
Just stop there for a second. So like, you are now involved in all those conversations. Is that now like a giant time burden? And does that suck out everything from your life because you have to be on all those calls? Is it somehow reducing it because you don't have other meetings? Like, how does that structure help you? You just said that you're now involved in all this crap. How could that possibly make it so you can get more work done rather than less?
Yeah, it's really just streamlined absolutely everything. I mean, from start to finish, how we were looking at launches before is we were having to spec everything out. The economy team was looking at it. Matt was having to kind of put his piece on it. Then we'd have to go to dev team and build that out. And then from there, it's okay, how does creative get involved? How does marketing get involved? And really a lot of these conversations were sidelined on Slack, or we'd be having kind of different Google Meets calls, whatever else through the day there. Now, instead of having hours and hours of calls over a multiple week span, it's really just, hey, we're standing up for 30 minutes every single day. And I mean, even that it's 15 minutes to go over all of our tickets. Everything's in Jira for us. So we're all working out of the exact same tool, where before we were working out of kind of 4 or 5 different softwares. Every team had their own kind of different thing there. And then the last 15 minutes of those kind of 30-minute stand-ups every single day are just going over anything that we need to talk about, whether it's road bumps, whether it's kind of building out new items, whether it's kind of dev bugs, whatever it is. But long story short, I mean, that's taking, if I had to guess, probably 6 or 7 hours of kind of meetings and conversations off my calendar every week or two. So it's been super great. And we're now getting marketing involved from really square one with everyone involved from every single team on the project in one place.
All right. So it sounds like you're pro the way that things seem to be shaping up. You know, like you guys aren't on the hook to be like, yes, I love this. I mean, I don't know how much you see like Matt punching me in the face when he doesn't like things, but you know, basically everybody around here is welcome to do that. You don't have to agree with the things that we do. It's my job to try to take that constructive feedback. And as long as these things are brought to me in like positive requests rather than aggroed, you suck and I hate you and you're terrible at this. You know, as long as that feedback is brought to me in a way that's like helpful, I'm happy to go kind of take it into account. But it sounds like, you know, you're not coming at this with a lot of constructive criticism. It sounds like this is solving some problems for you and making things more efficient on your end. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some learning curves as we go along here, but even to what Weirdbeard was just saying, it allows for marketing to now have this direct line of, oh, hey, we need to upgrade tournaments or we need to do some changes to brawls. It gives us a direct line to be able to give our input instead of having to essentially go to 3 or 4 different people with different business cases and then have a more roundabout way of road mapping anything. And nice thing about that and how it reflects so positively on the community. I mean, myself, Weirdbeard, so many people from the community and the support team are in Discord every single day as well. And so all of that feedback gets brought back to us at the end of the day. We can go and create JIRA tickets for it. And so instead of just having to use that feedback board, all of a sudden we have a more direct way of essentially getting the community feedback roadmapped into the direct line now too with the dev team.
Cool. All right. Well, all that sounds really positive, and I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully that's what we keep doing, and that the workflow that we're doing here is not like let's run everything through Aggroed or you know through Matt. It's just like let's get these teams on it, the people that are you know connected to the product, and let's hear the feedback from the players. Let's get into the backlog and let's get this stuff going. Okay, so I'm sorry to have interrupted you. You had a flow and you were like, hey, we're doing this new thing, and I stopped you there. But all right, so now we're doing this new thing. It sounds like it's working pretty well. I know it's in its infancy, but I personally have high hopes for it. What are the things that you're working on, and what are the things that you're trying to get out there into the world?
Yeah, so a lot of it's working with Weirdbeard on those tournament and brawl items. So hopefully we'll have a bit more feedback in the early new year on a lot of that stuff. But we've discussed things like battle passes. We've talked about getting more like human tournaments in to have some competitive line of tournaments. We've talked about a whole bunch of different things. So we're not sure where anything's going to fall there. We're not making any promises, but would be really cool to be able to kind of see some changes to tournaments or brawls, just how we do more of the competitive, almost esports side of things and really be able to build out that esports arm. Otherwise, on marketing from our side, getting a whole bunch of PR out. We are getting a really cool partnership with Brave. So Brave, the browser, we run push notifications and ads on them right now, but what they've done is they've actually created a search ad tool. So if you're typing in Google for whatever it is, those kind of 2 different ad spots that appear right at the top of the screen, they're now doing that on their platform, or we're going to be releasing a beta for it. We ended up getting a partnership with them. So we're going to be the first and only gaming partner that's going to be running any gaming related search terms with them for an entire month right now. They're going to be bringing on more gaming partners eventually, but we're the very first ones into it. We're going to get a free month of trial and everything with them there. So really cool thing. We're going to be essentially all over Brave for any search related terms of gaming. And then another partnership coming down the line as well. Going to be working with Bein Crypto. They are a kind of crypto news and publication company.
Will you spell that Bein or Bean?
Bein, Bein, 2 words.
Okay, Bein. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, weird Canadian accents. But we're going to be doing 3 different articles with them that are all going to be featured on the homepage of their gaming related kind of portion of their blog and newspaper. So really cool to see that. We're going to do 1 article just on Splinterlands, who we are and what that is, and then 2 more kind of thought leadership pieces around just crypto gaming in general.
Yeah, rock on. I mean, that seems, you know, like it's hard to find lots of bright points in a otherwise pretty deep bear market, but taking over Brave sounds pretty good. Getting some free press over with Bein Crypto, that seems pretty good.
Definitely. Yeah. And the last thing for us too is we were actually nominated for the Polka Starter Game of the Year award for the best card game of the year. So I'll post that link in the chat. Would love for any help for voting for us there. But really cool to see us. We were, I think, nominated for best mobile as well. But I'll leave that link in the chat shortly.
Rock on. All right. Well, Chatter, thanks for the update. Please, tell me, but also tell this community if you find that things are or aren't working in the process. Let's have some open and honest conversation about it and see what we can do to make it as good as possible.
Absolutely.
Okay. So last but not least, we have well, actually, no, we still have Splinterlands TV, but we're also going to have creative. So if we could do a creative brief with Nate. Oh man, I forgot to go ask Chatter a question because I wanted to do this question for both marketing and for we're gonna bring him back for a second. I don't know, I can't even tell. Yeah, here we go. You're coming back for just half a minute here.
Right.
So one of the biggest things on Twitter to blow up was this chat.openai.com, right? Like, do you see a spot where there's ever going to be a way that we're integrating with like AI technology to either reach out to players or write new content, or do you see a way that AI can help us with our marketing and the sort of like sheer volume of content that we want to get out into the world?
Absolutely. I guess for back context too, I used to work previously at a company that was a AI driven kind of video creation company. So you could just kind of put in a URL and it would spit out a 30 to 40-second video for you just based on how it crawled that web page and collected information. I don't think we're necessarily at the point where we can automate and use AI to generate like all of our content right now. But as AI gets better and better, we're going to be able to actually start using it to scale a whole bunch of content creation. And really the more that we're doing, especially on like the SEO side for blogs and everything else there, the more content we can get out, just the more awareness we're going to get, the more we're going to be able to build our platform and then have a better web presence as well.
Yeah, that sounds pretty excellent. Can you like how could you actually see it rolling out? Like what are actual ways that we could implement it?
Yeah, I mean, from the video content perspective, anything that we do as far as announcements, PR, blog posts, that can all be kind of put into an AI video format that can be shared across all of our different socials. And nice thing there too is we can start hooking up a whole bunch of listeners too. And if we get partners with other blog sites or Twitter pages, whatever else it may be, the second we press go on that video, it can share it across absolutely everywhere. And the nice thing is it only takes 5 to 10 minutes of our time to actually do that. And we're getting thousands, if not tens of thousands of views against it. So lots of stuff there. I think eventually you're going to see AI kind of content creation engines coming in as far as kind of writing goes. And I mean, from that point, if you look at what Asana did for their big kind of scale up and how they ended up beating out a lot of other organization and just kind of web planning companies out there, is they were creating 100 to 200 different blogs every single month. And really what they did is just bring in a whole bunch of teams of writers, and they scaled their SEO from what was thousands of searches per month to millions of searches per month in the span of, I think it was like 6 or 7 months. And that was really just going on the content creation side. And so if we can do similar stuff like that for Splinterlands, for Genesis League Sports, anything else that's really a AI content driven engine for all the content creation there, I mean, we can do very similar things really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's streaming. All right. Well, thank you. Sorry to kind of pull you back there for just half a minute. Let's go back to Nate with a creative update. And I know everybody wants to ask about land, and you and I've seen just before the show started, there were lots of questions about like, hey, why can't we do AI for our art? Or are there considerations? It seems to me like there's fewer considerations in marketing for using AI than there might be in kind of like content creation on the creative team. Have you explored AI and sort of like ways that, some of the like, I think it's DALL-E and Shadow something, there's like a bunch of these tools. Have you looked at ways that they can support the development that we're working on? And do you have any like personal feelings about using AI to do any of this?
No, absolutely. It'd be silly. In fact, I think Aggie, you've been great about trying to spearhead and you're always throwing stuff at me and the rest of the team members in terms of trying to make sure that we're staying on the bleeding edge of what is possible. So sometimes I'll get some stuff and you'll throw some at me from left field and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then other times you'll throw me something and I'm like, okay, yeah, this bears looking into. And of course, you know, AI is one of those things where it's kind of like it gets a lot of exposure, whether it's on social media or otherwise. So it'd be silly not to look at it. So I have bad news and good news in terms of that. I think that a lot of what maybe Chatter was talking about, not all of it, but creative uses as well, is not necessarily AI, but it's automation. So, you know, the team does utilize automation quite a bit. I don't know whether that constitutes AI or not, but I know with project management boards and things of that nature, our creative coordinators are always utilizing automation techniques in order to be as efficient as humanly possible. And from that respect, we're kind of like, you know, trying to apply that from a creative standpoint as far as what's produced, as far as deliverables go. Yeah, I do have opinions on that. I think we are at the very beginning stages, too early to really be confident in taking and saying, hey, we're going to take our IP and rest it solidly on this foundation of what it's kind of like similar to crypto in that the legal aspects of it are just barely being worked on right now. And where we're going to be 6 months or a year or 5 years down the road where AI content is concerned is a little bit up in the air. So I'm a little hesitant to like take our business model and everything we're doing and say, yeah, we're just going to have AI. And I think that that's from different perspectives. If we look at Splinterlands as just a card game and we're like, okay, that's all we are. Because you have to keep in mind, that's not how I see Splinterlands. The rest of you might be thinking, oh, Splinterlands is a card game. We market ourselves as such. We put it on our landing page. We go everywhere saying, hey, we're a digital card game. But I mean, just to let you know that from a creative perspective, I do not see us as a card game at all. I see us as an entire world with endless potential, cards being one little tiny sliver of the pie. And from that standpoint, I have a hard time looking at artwork the same way that maybe Magic the Gathering started off as, where it's like, hey, let's grab a whole bunch of different artists, throw different art at it and see what happens. So from a stylistic standpoint, I think it's no secret that I kind of like looked at the industry and looked at hyper realistic art, which AI is well known for. You know, you look at photo manipulation and 3D modeling and all the techniques utilized in AI, and you see a similar issue that you would when you look at the fantasy genre industry to begin with, which is like the artwork looks cool, no doubt. Like I'll see some of this AI artwork and it blows my mind. Like that is so freaking cool. But at the same time, you shotgun it to the wall. All these different games with all this hyper realistic art, throw AI into the mix, and it's just all white noise. It all looks the same. You know, how do you build an IP on that? Then you look at an approach like you would maybe stylistically with a comic book. And I think of the greats like Mike Mignola, who did Hellboy, or John Romita Jr., or Tim Sale, or Joe Quesada, or Joe Maude, or Todd McFarlane, and all these artists that had a very distinctive style. When you looked at their artwork, you said, oh, I know who they did that immediately. Or ultimately what we're trying to achieve with Splinterlands is people could look at all this fantasy artwork and they could immediately say, oh, that's from Splinterlands. They could just immediately look at that and say, that's powerful. That's branding. It's kind of like, look at my hat. We could have made some fancy, elaborate, amazing logo that had all these intricacies to it and gleam and shimmer and shine and all these sparkles coming out of it. But if you quickly glance at it, you don't get the Nike effect. You don't get the Apple logo effect where you just glance at it for half a second and you turn away and you remember what you saw, that branding retention. That's powerful for an IP anyways. That's powerful for our future success as a game. So when we talk about AI, I think about style. How closely can we build a 2D impactful, engaging style that is not just for a card game, but for a whole bunch of other things: storytelling, animation, comic books, all the rest, right? The other issue I have is probably how do you protect it? I mean, right now the laws with AI make it very difficult to protect, since all all the output is based upon other people's works. So I think right now US copyright law doesn't really, I mean, you can go to these AI services and they're free to use, not free, but you got to pay some, but commercially you can get the rights to use the content. But when it comes to legally protecting your IP, that's the hard part, right? That's like, how do you protect that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that you shared with me that I was like, well, can we produce and mass produce art? Yes. Can we produce and mass produce art that we could then claim that we own? I'm not sure. So I feel like, maybe there's some ways that we can take AI and use it as a starting point or a base, or do something with it to help us get somewhere. And it becomes, I was reading articles about like Photoshop and how it's adding, some of those automation. I don't know where I'm not entirely sure where you draw the line between automation and AI, but even Photoshop is starting to put in elements so that you can save yourself some time with all this stuff. So we'll see where that goes. Ultimately, this game needs to own the IP. And like I said, it sounded like there were some parts of this where, Chatter has an easier time in marketing, figuring out how we introduce AI where we don't have to worry about, do we own that blog or something? We just need that blog to be out in the world. Whereas in the art world and the creative side, the ownership of our assets is way more important. And it seems like there's still some headaches. So I'm getting a lot of questions about AI. So I'm thankful we could have a quick discussion about that.
Oh yeah, and when AI gets to the point where the output is protected legally, we can protect it, and also it can be prepped. Keep in mind, guys, it's not just artwork. We want this artwork to be utilized in so many different ways, and that means it's layered and ready for rigging, for animation, and all the things that we want to do. And I don't know if AI is capable of doing that quite yet. So,
okay. So one question I get a lot of, and a lot of it very recently, I think that chat tool really blew up everybody's expectations and conversations around AI, was AI. And then the second thing that I get a crap ton of questions about is land. Do you know anything about land, sir? Like, can you tell me anything about when it's going to go live, what we're going to do, roadmap phases? Just like, I don't know. I know that we've put out a post recently kind of describing it, but posts don't do it right now. People want to see what's in the website, what's it going to look like, how does all this stuff function? So maybe you can share some of your some of what you've been doing, some of the work, and just where we're at and what's coming.
No, absolutely. And before we get into that, would you prefer that I show people a sneak at airdrop card stuff, or you want to leave that for after?
Well, that's the third one, right? The third is like, show me the water summoner and show me what the deal is going to be. Everybody's going nuts for airdrop. All right. I mean, the thing is, we've been waiting for like 2 years for land. It's gonna another 10 minutes isn't gonna hurt anybody. So why don't you show us the airdrop, and then we'll get into what we think land will look like.
All right, let's start off with Chaos Legion. So Dave McCoy and his comrade in arms have done a pretty good job. Actually, all the people who bought Legendary Summoners have done such a great job at trying to keep a lid under things. I don't know if people have seen it yet, but in case you haven't, then this is what they had come up with for. It's pretty cool. It looks like a dragon, but it's actually a Leviathan. And it has a little Terminator vibe because it's a Leviathan from the future, from some alternate dimension or other world. So they put a lot of time and effort into the story and background, and I could definitely appreciate that. And for those of you guys who want to really say, hey, I love this character so much, I need it on my computer screen, then here you go. Here's more of a wallpaper type appearance to kind of throw down on your computer screens. But unfortunately, Matt's not on this town hall, so you're not getting stats from me.
Do you have the stats?
Do
you possess them?
I don't think so. Or if I did, then I would be concerned that they weren't finalized. So
yeah, I'm doubting that you have final stats. I would have been shocked, but yeah, I mean, we do a lot to make sure that the legendary summoners are not completely overpowered, but you definitely want to have them. that these are go-to cards to own. So we're gonna get the stats out soon. I know you guys want them, but it's not gonna be today, he says wistfully. Okay, do you have any access to any other airdrop cards? I know that there was a post today about one that went out, so maybe we should talk ever so briefly about that.
Yeah, I mean, if first of all, you're breaking up a little bit for me. Am I breaking up for you?
You want to break up with me? Is that
No,
what you're
I want
saying?
to. I want to make sure my connection is good. All right. So for those of you who haven't seen the blog post, I'll share the little thumb that was on that blog post, and then go check it out. But yeah, that airdrop character for Rift Watchers is pretty sweet. If you haven't seen the blog post, has the stats. There we go. Awesome.
Oh, are you guys there? Hello?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It just sounded like you stopped mid-sentence. Okay, yeah. So we got this brand new ancient redwood coming out. This thing is a beast. The six range damage, that's so freaking huge. And he's like speed of 1. So you're like, oh, it's a stupid card. He's never gonna hit. And then you look at the abilities and you're like, wait, this thing has true strike. It's never gonna miss. And also, if you get it up to max level, the damn thing has piercing. And also, it's got fury. So if it hits something that's taunting, it will do 12 damage, and all of it will be piercing. Freaking unreal. Just go ahead and kill giant cards. This is a giant killer. If you were ever wondering how do you kill giant taunting beasts, you go and get yourself an ancient redwood, and this thing freaking hurls big spiky death at it. Okay, then so those are 2 of the airdrop cards. Do you know you've been working on one? I wanted it to be a salty bear, but I don't think we're going to get a salty bear. We have one going for the end of year promo. Do you have any artwork that you want to share for that, or is that still under wraps for another week?
No, I could share something, and you'll be happy to hear that it is a bear. I don't know about a salty bear, but it is a bear.
I think it's pretty important that it has some salt on it. So if we could at least get, I want to call this I don't know what you're calling it. I want to call it like a salt mine grizzly or something, because there's so many salty people at the bottom of this bear market. Do you have an image you can share?
Yeah, I saw in Mav's chat when Yeah, in Mav's chat when it was discussed about having a bear, it was funny because we had already decided it was going to be a bear. So it just wasn't going to be a salty bear. It was going to have, we were basically combining Christmas in the Splinterlands, which is Winterfest, and combining that with the bear market in order to come up with a new character, which is known as Archimus, or otherwise known as simply as the bear. And this is what he looks like.
He's kind of like a rat bear. He's got, that's funky. Yeah, we need to just speckle him with some white dust. He might then turn into the cocaine bear. I don't know if you guys have seen the new movie trailer for that.
Wow, yeah, I've seen the trailer for that.
Yeah, it looks hilarious. Like worst movie ever, but so good.
So Archimus the bear is an interesting take. I can't wait for you guys to check out the lore and see it. It's an interesting take. I think it reflects the the bear market, but it also has a very Grinch flair to it, where this character was almost like a blessing and a curse at the same time, a menace and yet also a savior. So it's a really, I really encourage people once it gets released in the game to check out the lore, check out the background. It's pretty cool what Joey drummed up. I think Paolo did great with the artwork. The background art is from our lead, Madi. I'm very happy with, and I think you guys are going to be happy as long with the stats. I don't have finalized stats, but rest assured it's going to be a beast. I think it's like 12 mana. It's going to be freaking beastly.
Yeah, this is what I was hoping for. Cool. It's actually pretty funny that Matt and I are not normally on the same page when it comes to cards and card stats, but bear, that was what I wanted, and giant bear. That's also what I wanted. So having like a 12 mana bear is exactly what I thought this promo card should be. The only thing we need to do is get some salt on him. And if we can get some salt, then I'm happy. And then I can call him a salt mine. Crap, I forget his name already. Archimus, salt mine Archimus.
Well, if there's not physical salt on the artwork, then there's definitely salt in the stats. Because when you look at the stats, you'll be like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Have you seen the stats for this?
What's that?
You've seen the stats already?
I have seen the pre-tentative stats, and I believe with some tweaking along the way, they got tweaked a little here and there, and I think we're close to the final stats, but they're looking pretty good. I think once you guys see them, you'll be like, "Wow, this is awesome."
Sweet. Okay, I think we've hit maximum promo card display. So now, is there some stuff that you can share about land? And most particularly, I know we're going to go like next week. There's going to be even more that we'll talk about because it'll actually whatever we're going to put live for 2022 is going to go live on Tuesday of next week. So we don't need to do everything, but if you could at least show me like one or two things, the bare minimums, the bare minimums because we just talked about bears. If you could just tell me the bare minimum of what we're going to do for next week and just give me like a teaser or something, what's going to go live? Like, are players actually going to finally get any piece of land next week?
Well, I will say this. When we were in a land meeting not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, it was like, we're nearing the deadline, guys. We went through a big corporate, restructuring. We had all this stuff going on. Are we still going to make it? Are we still going to reach, slide in a home plate in time? Or are we going to let the community down? We don't want to do that. What do we do? And so we tossed engineering these designs. And I think they just about had a heart attack. They were like, "We can't do this in the time we have. Are you guys crazy?" So, but in the last couple of weeks, what's amazing is Farpatrod and Ether Feast and Jonas and just the whole dev side really just like they didn't just say, "No, we can't do that." They said, "Well, but maybe we can." And they just went to town. Like every single day I see these devs just spitting it out like crazy. Like just like I'll be up at 3 a.m. They're up at 3 a.m. I'll be on the weekends and they're on the weekends. Like it's like they're 24/7 like freaking cyborgs or something. So just know that both creative and engineering alike are taking this very seriously with laser focus, trying to make sure that you guys have something that you guys can be happy with for Christmas. So having said that, something that we wanted to do is make sure that you had the ability to claim your, redeem your tokens, claim the lands, get the coordinates. As you guys are already aware, you can't survey the land yet, but you can, if you're in land pools and you could separate those things out and you can get your different plots distributed to whoever needs them, then that functionality will be there. We thought that originally we wouldn't be able to do bulk transfers and stuff like that. Like it'd be like one at a time. So you got the cryptomancers and the Byzantines of the world who own like a bazillion plots. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were going to do. And we were like, "Oh, devs, please, like this would be better if we could bulk that." And they said, "We'll see." And then they did it. They like pulled it off. Those guys are like freaking rock stars. So some of these concepts that I could share, it's mostly for this is the original designs and everything is subject to change. In fact, they've already changed a little bit already. So as we've kind of gone through the development and implementation stages, it's not exactly looks like this, but this is something I could easily grab from the creative files to share. So like for instance, this is a grid showing unsurveyed land deeds. So once you redeem your tokens, you would end up with a kind of a screen that looks similar to this one. And you'll notice that there's those little check boxes in the corners that were added in. And for those of you who own a bazillion plots, don't worry, there is the list view. And you should be able to, go and checkbox 100 at a time or whatever you got to do, and then click the little button up top so you can transfer a bunch to wherever whatever you want to do. Map view is turning out to be, it might have to make it to the next stage, but we were like, well, we want some sort of map, something. We don't want to just show them list views and grid views. Like, I don't know. We all agreed that there should be some sort of map, something, even if you can't like functionality wise do the on hovers and the clicks and zoom in and out and all that stuff. Like we give you guys something. So we put our heads together and said, okay, well, even though the very next phase will have the map functionality, what can we do right now? So where you're gonna end up with is a Statica map, and I'll share it with you. And what I'm sharing with you isn't the UI. It's like, you know what? I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? I bet the players would like to have this. They could put it on their screen. They could print it out. They can prepare for the big day, right? So what I'm going to share with you is, for the first time, you guys are going to see the territories of Pretoria. You're going to see the location for all these different regions. And keep in mind, everything is still subject to change. But as of now, the XY coordinates for all these different region dots, I think that we're pretty close to that's where they're going to be. So here you go. Congratulations. You have the map of Pretoria. You'll notice that Pretoria is divvied up into 7 different territories. Territories do not necessarily mean like states in the United States or anything like that, particularly since the Chaos Empire has pretty much conquered everything. But to give you a sense of scope and scale from a narrative perspective, any one of these territories, you could fit all of the Lord of the Rings Middle Earth into one of these territories. So imagine that there could potentially be several kingdoms, lore-wise, within each of these territories. It's a pretty huge continent. There's a lot of wilds in between the player-owned region for a whole lot of storytelling, for a whole lot of other game modes and other things that the future might hold. So I'm pretty excited about how that's going to go. And then this is actually from the UI. Farpatron was able to get this in rather recently, and it's looking pretty cool. This is the legend that will be in the UI along with the map, just so that people can decipher when they redeem a token and claim a deed, and they see the string of digits, which is the deed ID. That deed ID is not like the card IDs that you are currently familiar with, the NFT IDs that just seem like a random string of characters. The deed IDs will be very specific in that you can decipher them to break down what tract you're in or what territory or what region. You could just look at that ID and be able to immediately, for those of you who memorize what the format and syntax of those ID numbers, you'll be able to look at ID and almost like know, oh, I know where that is in Pretoria, which is pretty cool, I think. And it's going to help with a lot of the sorting and filtering when it comes to giving a user-friendly UX experience for the players. So lots of cool stuff. Even though this is like the very initial baby step towards land, I think there's enough substance to it to where hopefully people have a very Merry Christmas in being able to dig into it. And right now we're working on, I can't make any promises. We're trying to add some market functionality at launch. I can't guarantee that's going to happen, but if it doesn't happen, then very soon thereafter that you get the coordinates in the very next phase, you should be able to get that kind of functionality. So,
and just you got to be a little bit careful, because just so you guys know, the last kind of development update that we're going to do is going to be it'll be December 13th. And, the last 2 weeks, we're really not going to do any coding. So there's going to be like a little bit of a delay at the end of December where, devs get holidays, people get to spend time with their families. And then we don't really like get back into it until early January. But we're going to take a lot of that time to plan. And, even though we can't kind of like roll out brand new updates, we can certainly figure out what are those updates going to contain. And I think if we can get a lot of this stuff kind of specced out, it'll put us in a great position going forward.
Definitely.
All right, Nate, that was fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to share? I've got to get to Splinterlands TV, and I have 3 pages of questions, which I just realized now. So
yeah,
I'm
I think
there.
I'm good. I'm good.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's go bring Rondon on, Chief Clown of the Splinterlands, and then let's see if we can't. I guess there's a fair number of people here. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. Carl O'Carl, no, Carlo 17. We got Kira, Dragon, Boomburst, Big Barger 99, West Posshun 99,
What?
Rick on the Mountain.
No, read that again.
What? When Quest Possun? How am I supposed to read that?
Win quest potion.
One quest potion. Oh, that person is terrible. Rick on the Mountain, Luthien the Destroyer, Bob J, and King Koi. So, it's kind of fun just to be able to like look at the list of names and see how many people are like watching the streams and doing the thing. So, kudos for that. And also, you normally have your Rondon clown face up as opposed to like your actual image. It's nice to see your handsome face there, Mr. Rondon.
I've had this up now for since Halloween.
All right. Well, maybe I didn't notice last time, but thanks for being you.
Oh, not a problem. So you guys want to see some clip of the weeks?
Yeah.
We actually got 2. We got 2 of them this time.
Okay.
And
all right,
so
hit me.
the one from November 28th, that one that we would have played for last town hall. Well, I want to take a moment just to kind of let everybody know, if you want to make a clip of the week, you can win prizes. We give away tons of SPS every single week for the best clips, and these clips are voted on by the community, by you guys, and you guys can vote all the clips. You can vote your own clip, and the top 5 all get prizes, and out of that top 5, we pick a grand prize winner who gets even more SPS. We've been giving out 500 SPS to the grand prize, 200 SPS to the other top 4, and we do this every single week. So, and there's a lot of prizes out there, a lot of chances to win. Now, Axler Twin Blade, you know Axler, right? Baron's Toolbox, he does all that. He's had the spinner going, and he's been giving away a lot of prizes. He gave away a kitty, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there were 2 eligible clips made of him giving away a kitty. They cut it off in the middle of a sentence on both clips.
Savage.
Yeah, I want one of those would have won, but guys, editing the clip, just make sure it doesn't end in the middle of a sentence at the very least, but usually try to have a complete thought, like a complete, you do want to keep it as short as possible, but don't cut it off too quickly. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, it was an Axler Twin Blade giving away a kitty that won this particular week. It goes to Luke. Luke and his hard-hitting journalism. This one did crack me up. So hopefully I got the right one here. Let's check this out.
Well, we got 3 minutes left, Jim. Any final brilliant sage wisdom from the master?
Okay.
About Splinterlands or life or Kelia burning, whatever you want.
The best advice that I can give you guys in life is don't eat cheese before noon. People in glass houses sink ships.
Does cream cheese count?
Yes.
All right. So that wins the clip of the week for the first week. Now the second week, guys, this one was a pretty good one. I got to say, a lot of the times you really worry about what you put on your team. You pick all the best cards, and sometimes it's not the legendaries, the tanks, the high DPS monsters that become the MVP of the game. Sometimes it's the little guys.
It's the unsung heroes.
Aha. Okay. Got nose level 2. got Hulk and the armor. Okay. I hope Grum survives the first round, so he'll get Bloodlust on the second. Okay, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. I need Grum to Bloodlust, and he's dead. Please don't kill it. Oh. Please don't kill me. Why didn't I kill him? Okay, Finn for the win. Woo! Nice save by the Finn. Good job, Finn. Good job. Good job, Finn.
That was fun.
He had the Grum up there. The Grum just tanked all that damage, didn't do a dang thing. And then, yeah, the Fiend comes out for the winner.
Fiend at the end. You know, that's the problem with ranged is that if they get in that first position, they can't fight. And you get that little melee dude and he'll just kind of poke away. They can win the fight that way. All right. Any updates or anything else you want to share for Splinterlands TV before I dive into some of these questions?
You know, we're continuing on working on a lot of like back end stuff, working on boring stuff that I'm not gonna bore you guys with. It is going to be cool stuff. It is going to help the streamers, help you guys do a lot of stuff. But you know, you're just gonna have to wait and see for that. But anyway, keep on checking out Splinterlands TV. We've got some actually pretty exciting things in the works. You know, maybe some really cool stuff for channel points. Maybe some really cool giveaways that are happening. Just keep on watching Splinterlands TV. You never know what's going to happen.
All right. So maybe you can bring on the full team stand-up, and then we can go dive through some of these questions. So these are not questions that are open to everybody. These are the pre-sorted questions, and there's like 50. Oh, now we're down to 2 pages. So it looks like a little paginating that happened. All right. So there any updates on the node licenses? I think that might be for the non-card market. There's, you know, we're continuing to try to get the things that are, you know, nodes are like this complicated piece, and you know we have them. Some functions are already running on the nodes now, but they're still in the kind of like private mode as opposed to public mode, and we're going to try to add more and more pieces to them. Will it be an easy upgrade or a big thing to get licenses on the non-card market? Yeah, I guess that's probably an oversight that we don't have them on there, and we'll try to add that to the backlog to get the licenses put in. Why no vouchers on the non-card market? So the non-card market stuff is all peer-to-peer, and it's not really us selling new things. Us selling new things is where vouchers typically come into play. And when you guys sell to each other, there's not really a market where you can buy and sell this stuff for vouchers. Rooney, when Rooney becomes burnable for parts, can a gold foil Rooney be combined with a regular foil Rooney? I don't know, but I'm really hoping that the answer is yes, because I'd love to burn a regular Rooney and get like a sweet background on the gold foil one that I own. I'd love to like pimp out my gold foil Rooney to the best of my ability. How many Rooney did the team mint at the end? It ended up being 200, I believe. Airdrops. Any update on the validator license airdrop for GLG? No, that's something that we have to put into the backlog and plan out. Do we still earn SBS airdrop rewards on tower defense packs and plots if they are listed on the non-card market? I think the answer is no. Can anybody correct me there?
Yeah, I believe you are correct. You transfer them to the market and no longer receive airdrop points on them.
Yeah, that's the expected functionality. Pack sales. Why did the team pick March 31st to end pack sales? Why wouldn't the team want to end Chaos Legion pack sales sooner? You know, part of that is that it's going to take us a while to go get Rebellion out. And so we didn't think that it made much sense to just suddenly burn them. We also have all this land stuff that's coming. So depending on how fast land goes, you guys are going to want more cards anyways. Regarding the year-end sales, if our community reaches more than 2,500 packs, which are required for the bronze package, does the excess pack still eligible for that? Yeah, if you are within a tier range, it all functions at that tier range. Vouchers. Can the team add a cap on the total amount of vouchers and limit the number of of emissions? So that's not something that the team can do. That's something that the DAO might be able to do. That's kind of a funky thought of being like, if we hit this many vouchers, that they just stop printing. And it's not until those vouchers are gone that they start printing again. I'm open for a lot of different things. I think we were a little too aggressive with vouchers. I think it's going to end up being too few in a bull market, but it's way too much in a bear market. So what we really ought to do is build all this stuff for bear markets. So I think we have too much. Land. When it comes to generating the land rarity and whether they are castles, etc., what method of randomization will be implemented, and how do we know it won't be regenerated a few times until the staff's personal land plots have some good ones? Don't trust, verify, etc. I'm going to allow Farpatrod to answer that because he is in chat and he's literally the last person there. I'm just going to wait. Yeah. Let's see. So here's at Farpatrod. And there's the text of that question. And then hopefully Farpatrod can just answer that directly. Future updates. As for account-bound rewards cards, it sounds great. But what do you think about these two possible issues? Any thoughts on these foreseeable problems? Bot farms can sell accounts with reward cards for profits in the future. Selling accounts introduces security concerns. New players can't get older account-bound reward cards at all in the future. Yeah, that's some of the joy, is that we want some. We're trying to get it so that there's not everybody has all the same cards, and that's part of the fun of this game, that people have different collections. And we want it so that there's a mix of things that you can earn, things that you can only earn by playing, and that you can't just buy your way into. And so I see 2 as like a sheer joy. Number one, I mean, people sell accounts all the time. That's kind of a thing. So I don't know. It's just going to do what it does. Marketing. What are the next marketing steps for the game? Which audiences will be target? Do you have any plans or feature to attract other gamers? I mean, we did just talk about taking over all of Brave for a month for their new game piece there. We have another new partnership with being in crypto. So I'm excited about that. All right, page 2, suggestions. Can we lower the required packs to get a guaranteed Chaos Legion reward Rift Watchers airdrop card to increase the pack sales? If those airdrop cards are more accessible, I think that more people can get more value from purchasing packs, so it'll increase the pack sale. That's not something that I've looked at. I mean, all things are possible. This kind of, I don't know, dude. This gets into if we start changing this, I can just see the number of people that are yelling at me like, hey, you have a pack sale, here are the details, and you're changing it. You guys are a bunch of jerks for changing things. So, it's a balance. We want to try to change as few things as possible. So that's not necessarily one of the ones that I feel like changing. But if the community is totally behind it and there's a really strong contingent, then I would, because we'd love to sell more card packs. Do you intend to modify end of season relegation? Would it be possible to introduce a 100-point threshold for the new season? For example, you finish gold 1 at the new season, you start with 1900 points. If you lose and reach 1799 points, you get relegated to silver. Everything in between still keeps you in gold. It makes no sense to be relegated into an inferior league unless you do not have the necessary CP. I don't. This isn't one of my personal babies. There is a team that kind of looks at this, and they're not present today, so I'm going to punt on that question. Instead of issuing cards to flood the market, can the team design more ways on how existing cards can be played instead of developing new cards? Well, we're going to keep developing new cards. We've been saying that forever. In terms of using those cards, that's one of the big parts of land, and that's one of the big parts of tower defense. So, we're not infinitely far away. The first parts of land go up a week from tomorrow. So I don't think that those yet have card staking powers to them, but that's part of what happens. We're going to start at phase 0.5. We'll get to phase 0.1. And I think phase 2 will actually involve the kind of card staking. And now that we have kind of a new process, I don't know how long it's going to take us, but I'm hoping that it's not, super long. We'll actually get there fairly quick. Like some others, I participated in the bulk buy in December of 2021. I bought that packs for $4 each without receiving any bonus packs. In addition to that, I've spent 25 cents for potions, making it a total of $4.25 per pack. Now with the new bulk buy offer, if I calculate all benefits together for my corresponding tier, I land somewhere between $1.70 and $1.80 cost per pack. Although I understand the company's current situation and the need for cash to continue operations, I also hope you understand that investors in the last bulk buy feel quite uneasy about the current devaluation. Under this perspective, will the team considering offering the bonus packs out of the contingent that was intended for burning to the participants of the last bulk buy? Well, it's funny because this has all of these kind of like parts that are challenging. If I go back a year ago and I say we're changing the way that bulk buy went, there's going to be like 1 billion people right now that are buying packs that are like, no, that's not what makes sense. And in part, this is why I wanted to go do the sort of like, let's get a sales plan and be honest about the sales plan. We're planning one big sale for Splinterfest. We're planning one end of year sale. And then there's like new product sales, but we're not looking to continuously devalue the products that we're already selling. If anything, you've noticed that we're willing to keep increasing the price of the products that we're selling. In terms of the deal happening now, I purposely didn't make it so that the deals are absurd. I wanted it to be a good year, a good deal at the end of the year, but I didn't want it to be like, okay, let's go just make company money by diluting everybody else. So I tried to find a good balance there. I'm a major card holder, so I was looking at this too and saying, is this fair? Is this reasonable? And if players are putting in substantial amounts of money into the game and into the ecosystem, that I think it's worth that value to the whole community. And especially because we're seeing like the price of DEC go up. Without looking at your numbers, I can't tell how much of that is a result of the market-based pricing for DEC. So I'm not actually offering discounts at like, you can buy this at $1.70. I don't think that that's something that Splinterlands is doing. I think that we're lowering the price for the end of year sale, as we've said we do, but it's actually the market. This community is allowing them to get the price that low. So if you don't like people being able to buy card packs for that inexpensive an amount of money, I would actually suggest that you buy and hold DEC and support the price so that they're not getting those kinds of discounts, so they're not incentivized to try to like be able to buy packs at such a lower price. So something to consider. Yeah. Okay. And also further, when you guys bought it, we were not promising to like burn packs. So that's something that's different too. And this is the challenge. We want to, have some impact for the circumstances that we're in. It's been a long bear market. And that's a reality of where we're at. But we also don't want to change things. There's been plenty of times where the players are like, "Shut up, Aggie. We don't want any more changes. Stop doing stuff." So this gets back to Neil McSpadden saying no one's ever happy, and there's some truth to that, because somebody's always complaining because there's always somebody that doesn't like what we're going to do next. And that's part of the joy and part of the challenge of working in decentralized everything, is that everybody's coming at this with a different perspective. Will land reveal cost some amount of DEC? I understand if this has not been decided yet and you can't answer. If so, please consider it as a suggestion. I think something like this would go a long way toward bringing DEC back to PEG. Yeah, we're considering potions for land, and I've heard Bulldog and others say, "Hey, that's wrong. It's like a tax on landowners." Yeah, I can hear that, but if it's something reasonable, it's not uncommon for us in this ecosystem to provide potions that benefit. And here in this case, especially if the potions are burned, like a lot of the other potions are, meaning that the deck spent doesn't go to the company but actually just gets burned, then this would be something that's really good for the entire ecosystem. So I can hear the gnashing of teeth of some landowners, but I can also hear the entire community getting really excited. So I think the trick is to find a place that's a balance of those. And for Freedom, I see you, I hear that. I know that it's mixed, but this is something that I think would be really good for the entire ecosystem. Farpatrod just answered the question before. So locations of the keep castles won't be known until the survey phase is released. Nothing is determined until a player does a survey operation. Nothing is loaded in the database until the op that generates the castle keep completes. There's a layer that looks at where the plot being surveyed is located, region number, and track number. Track number is being attached to a region 1 through 10 and determines if it should do a role in the generation of a keeper castle. If one exists in that track, then there won't be a role. The random number generation follows the same path that packs do. Remember, there will always be 10 tracks in a region, and so there will be 9 keeps and 1 track, 9 keeps and one of the tracks will have the castle. In addition, you will have dice rolls for the following: land type, land status, and then land rarity. So all of that stuff, like the card packs we do, you're gonna roll and you'll see what your rolls are, and you'll reveal your land. That's not something that we can just like roll 10,000 times because we're employees. About token economics, DEC is supposed to be a product-based stablecoin by having permanent 20% bonus packs and now 60% bonus at the highest tier of the holiday deals. How can we assume that DEC will ever go back to peg when every back product gets devalued by high bonuses? To deal with that, I think suggests there is no way around higher voucher prices since DEC back to peg is your main goal. The moment, what are your thoughts? Around higher voucher prices? I mean, that's not something that we can control. The best way that we can control that is to reduce the supply of vouchers, which I think we should do, but that's not something that Splinterlands is going to do on its own. That's something that we're going to ask the community about in a proposal at some point of like, can we reduce the number of vouchers that we print? But ultimately, when Matt takes a very different perspective. So Matt would say something like, if the product is fun, people will be here and everything will just sort of work itself out. That's shorthand. I don't want to put too many words in his mouth. He'll disagree with some of that. But, my statement is something more like, Jerome Powell bringing up the interest rate at the fastest pace, at least since the 80s, if not before that. That harms the economy. It hurts everybody. Maybe we shouldn't have a central bank and all this other stuff. I don't want to get into like the theoreticals, but we do have a central bank. When that central bank raises rates, it causes chaos throughout the entire economic system. And we're seeing that in lots of different ways. And so, do I think the DEC is always going to be, because we gave a sale now, are we never going to be able to get back to peg? No, of course we can get back to peg. What we need, when I look at this and what I think of is that we need stronger market conditions, that Splinterlands is a relatively small ship in a giant financial ocean, and that the prevailing winds are set by the Fed. There's some unelected Fed that chooses whenever they want to raise and lower interest rates. And that's not something that we control. And it's ultimately got to be where the bureaucrats that are in charge are not purposely wrecking the economy for whatever reason that they're doing it. And by driving rates up as high as they are, and maybe they think that they're saving the economy because they're trying to do other things. But ultimately, I think that their actions have led to a lot of demand destruction. And there are other sets of actions that they could be doing, like potentially a Fed pivot in December, would change market conditions drastically, such that we see the opposite of lots of capital coming in, and then people would be complaining that there's never any DEC discounts ever available to players. So I don't know. There's stuff that's out there that makes me think, these are strange and difficult economic times. This too shall pass, and when this does pass, the economy will be different, and that economy will impact SBS and DEC and vouchers and all this other stuff. And that I'm not able to go control all the stuff about token economics and pricing. I don't claim to be able to control that. I think that is very much market driven, and players way bigger than Splinterlands are the guys that are ultimately impacting that the most. Okay. Would the team be willing to share or clarify how it earns revenue from the main set of pack sales? Does this mean Splinterlands doesn't actually make money from pack sales until someone comes in and buys credits from Splinterlands? I I'm happy to go talk about that. How does that sort of work? Well, people spend money. They give us money for credits, and then they get the DEC that we have. That DEC is used to purchase things off the markets or other stuff. So ultimately it's a mechanism whereby players are putting in cash and crypto, and the Splinterlands DEC store is being used, meaning the Splinterlands reserve is being used to make purchases in a way that's kind of like us selling DEC to the market. But we're not doing that. We're not like dumping tokens. We are selling we're using our DEC to allow like market-based purchases to be made. And that's how it's always worked. So that's not like a brand new thing. That's, since the market started and since we had credits, that's how this thing has been going. So that's not always how revenue is generated, because like there's actually this entire discussion around how the company recognizes revenue. And it's called your RevRec policy. And that thing is kind of beyond the scope of this discussion because it's complicated, nerdy, and very technical. But the cash comes into the business when you guys are buying credits, and then we also see crypto profits when you guys are spending SBS and DEC to buy stuff directly from us. Hopefully that answers some questions. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. So let's go open up questions, and you guys can go nuts for 10 minutes, and we'll see what the guys say. And Beth, try to keep like a tight lid on this, because I don't think we get all that many questions. Are the rumors true? Will salt be an actual resource in Pretoria? I've asked Farpatrod to make sure that salt and salt mines are a thing. Question: are you planning to revamp collection power? It's only used to get you into higher leagues and events. Will there be uses for land and tower defense? Is there anything we don't know you're working on with CP in mind? I think we're going to phase out CP. That's kind of what these, some of the last changes that we did where you can use lower rank cards to earn higher rewards. That's not specifically CP specific. There's a lot of problems with CP. I'm glad we've had it. It's a good Band-Aid to start, but I think we're going to move away from it. How will multiple land plots reveal work? Can we guarantee neighbor plots by opening together? How can guild members be neighbors? Neil or Farpatron, is that something that you can answer for Mace Mao? Nate, are you answered it? Or can you answer that?
I mean, sort of. I mean, I believe that it's going to be difficult. You could try to time it together and do a countdown and push the button at the same time, but then there's internet connection. There's a delay to block transactions. It's going to be hit or miss whether you can actually somehow plan or strategize somehow using the clock to end up on plots adjacent to one another if you're trying to like be neighbors with a buddy. So I mean, the good news is markets will market. So if you're not adjacent and you got to move 3 plots over or whatever the heck, then, you could, hopefully if we don't get the market out this launch, then the very next phase will have the market, and you can kind of like just start trading and swapping and negotiating and bartering your chickens and cows in exchange for this, that, and the other. Make it happen.
Okay. Question: why don't you change rented cards to be the same in the reward share equation as starter cards? This would kill the bot armies with a simple change versus doing KYC or soulbound cards, which would go against Web3. It would give bigger chunks of SBS to actual players. It would make playing far more valuable. I don't think we want to kill rented cards. There are plenty of people that like play this game using rented cards. That seems like it would not only kill bot armies, but would kill all reasons to rent. So that seems like a negative to me. Question: how is the progress on SBS staking for rewards going? There seems to be a huge focus on removing rewards from the game rather than staking SBS to earn those rewards. For example, soulbound rewards cards. Is the plan no longer to incentivize building a deck, staking SPS, and then earning rewards by playing based off your investment in the game? Yeah, that's all tied into the validator stuff, and we're still working on the validator stuff. So that's in flight, and we're working on it. Why are vouchers not tradable peer-to-peer on the non-card market? The same reason that no fungible tokens are tradable on the non-card market. If we facilitate directly the transfer of one fungible token for another, that becomes some kind of money transmitter problem. We're not like a decentralized exchange. We don't have licenses to do it. That is not a thing that Splinterlands is going to take on. So non-fungible tokens are things that you can trade that way, but fungible tokens are not, and vouchers fall within that. Will there be a credit equivalent for GLS, GLG? I say yes. Matt has said no. I don't know. We're still fighting about it. Dishonesty asks, given the 25,000 Chaos Legion daily burn rate and the fact that the last 150 to 200,000 packs will go in a maximum at half a day, we will hit the million in 6 to 7 days. You will not get another town hall before we hit airdrop. I wish we had the stats already. It will look bad if we hit the target and we don't have the stats for it. Any thoughts? Yeah, Nate, you have the card. Matt's put out at least some stats. I do believe that we're going to try to get that out soon. Question, do you have to buy packs through the tiers to get copies of the promo, or can I buy 5 packs and get 5 copies? You can buy 5 packs and get 5 copies. Question, voucher for promo cards considered as a voucher burn mechanism. We didn't consider it for this, maybe for future ones. Question, will Rooney's be playable this year? I don't know where Rooney coming into the game is at. Harry or Investigator, do you know where we're at for the Rooney contract?
They are hoping to get out. The people working on it are hoping to get out this year, which would be next week. I'm not sure if they're going to make it or not, but we're hoping to.
Yeah, so we're close. Whether or not we get there is a game time decision. So I don't want to promise it yet, but that my understanding was that we're close. Thank you for confirming that, Investigator. Was a promo card revealed? If not, question, can we see the promo card? That was earlier. We showed the bear, but we didn't show the stats. Are you ready to reveal the rarity of the promo bear? All of that stuff is coming. Question, do we think that the visual SPS bug is bad for new player experience and we are working to fix it? What's the visual SPS bug? Anybody know? Hearing none, I'm going to skip that for now. Question, will SPS airdrop end for land once land allows for crafting spell item cards? Yeah, like at some point, the goal is not to just like randomly give landowners SPS just for owning land. That'll be part of what they're mining, creating, and doing. So I think it's going to be less for the crafting spell item cards stage and more for the mining stage, but we'll see what that ends up looking like. All right, so we ended questions. We have a couple minutes left. I guess there's only 2 questions here. So these will be the last question. Do y'all think soulbound cards will make own cards lose utility? No, I mean, own cards have more utility than soulbound cards. Question, will we know how travel will work before we claim our land? No, we don't know how travel will work before you claim your land. I skipped 2 questions. Oh, here we go. Will we see a reduction in voucher print rate anytime soon? I'm open to it, but that's going to be a DAO vote, not a Splinterlands decision. Question, there any info about license or news about that? I already answered some of those questions. And then haven't heard about the SPS staking to earn. That's all tied up in the validator stuff and still going. Okay, I'm going to stop answering questions. I guess anybody that's here right now, do you guys have any thoughts that you'd like to share kind of going into the end of the year and what you're thinking for, I guess not even just end of year, but for the end of this show, anything that you want to share is kind of an outro or something that you want to make sure people remember?
Just that we're freaking excited. We haven't lost focus. I think we've said this before, but despite it being a bear market, despite people experiencing a little bit of FUD. Just know that I mean, I could speak on the creative side, and from what I've seen from engineering, after the restructuring of the company and having the projects in front of us and just sinking our teeth in everything, it's not just a fire in the gut. It's like it's like a blazing inferno. The heat of the sun itself. It's like we're all pretty much full steam ahead on all this cool stuff. So if you're watching this and you're listening to this and you're getting your questions answered and you're wanting more and more and more, just know that it's coming. You don't have to wonder. If you're betting on us, then it's a good bet to make, because we're just as passionate about making these things happen as you want these things to happen as a player. So I don't know. I'm excited. Everyone I talk to internally is just as excited.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and these projects are cool. Seeing some utility for Rooney soon, that sounds good. Seeing land come out, that sounds good. We got a bunch of stuff that we got to deliver. I think that's going to do it, unless Chatter, Weirdbeard, Harry, anything else you guys want to add?
We need to deliver. It's time. It's put up or shut up. And as a company, it's on us to go through and not only deliver what we have, but all those other things that we always said, we're not able to get around to. We got to do it. It's on us now.
Well, I mean, fortunately, we've been able to get a bunch of this stuff out, right? So pushing non-card market and pushing, some of like the back end changes, like the prereqs, getting those out of the way is a big way to move out and get our roadmap ready for really like plowed out. Chatter, anything from you, sir?
Not too much from my side. Just really excited to kind of see how we're focusing going forward. Really just kind of honing in on Splinterlands, tower defense, and kind of GLS or GLG going forward. So just really excited to see what we can kind of output here. I think the team's going to be moving a lot faster going forward. So just kind of really looking forward to 2023 and what it has to bring.
Rock on. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming here. Really appreciate the enthusiasm from all the staff, and also lots of good questions from the players. Appreciate y'all. And we'll be back in a week and talking about all the stuff then. Thanks everybody.
Chaos reigns and hope is lost. When your darkest days aren't saved by the dawn, we bring the light to help guide the way. We are with you. We are the Rift Watchers. Have spread far and wide. When you're out of places to run and hide, follow the runes. Help is on the way. We stand with you.